You often mistake your own weakness for kindness. The world does not need more sheep who cannot bite. It fears the wolves who are fully capable of tearing everything apart, yet consciously choose to hide their claws. Being unable to cause harm is not a virtue. It is simply a tragic lack of options. If you cannot be dangerous in a world that respects power, your kindness is just a default state of powerlessness. Look deeply into the mirror and ask yourself the hardest question. Are you truly a good person with a pure heart, or are you just too paralyzed by anxiety to face the terrifying monster that lives within you? Weakness masquerades as morality when you lack the spine to stand your ground. The universe does not reward the defenseless. It crushes them without a second thought. True peace is not the fragile absence of conflict. It is the absolute mastery of it. Don't take foolish pride in being harmless and invisible, when you should be dedicating your life to working on unbreakable strength. A person who is physically and mentally incapable of cruelty is not a moral entity. They are merely harmless, and a harmless person is just a victim in waiting. Virtue only exists when you have the sheer capacity for absolute destruction, but deliberately choose to walk the path of peace. The predator that does not strike is the ultimate master of itself. This self-control is what separates the truly noble and sovereign individuals from the merely weak, loud, and afraid. You have been conditioned to believe that keeping your head down and surviving is the same as being a good human being, but survival is not morality. To be truly moral, you must possess the fangs required to draw blood, and the profound psychological discipline to keep your mouth shut. Strength is the only foundation upon which all real, lasting virtue stands. We live in a society that systematically rewards obedience and conveniently calls it goodness. But true morality requires the raw power to do evil, the intelligence to understand it, and the iron will to categorically refuse it. The comforting illusion of being a nice person often masks a deep-seated, paralyzing fear of confrontation. You are not being kind to the people around you. You are simply hiding from the harsh realities of the world. You have been systematically taught since childhood that being soft and compliant is the definition of being good. But that is a calculated lie, told by those who desperately want to keep you easily under their thumb and control. Morality is a choice, not a convenient lack of alternative options. If you have no other choice but to submit and be nice, then your so-called niceness holds absolutely no value or merit at all. We call it being nice because we are afraid of the conflict that comes with setting boundaries. We smile when we are insulted, we nod when we are disrespected, and we call ourselves peacemakers. But you are not making peace. You are funding your own psychological destruction. Blind kindness is not a virtue. It is a toxic form of self-abuse and self-sabotage. You are willingly feeding ungrateful parasites with the very lifeblood of your own mental health and well-being, every single time you smile and politely say yes, when your intuition and your soul are violently screaming, no. You are committing a slow, agonizingly painful act of self-betrayal. You are participating in your own spiritual suicide. Your personal energy is not a bottomless, magical well of free charity. It is your most valuable capital. Freely giving it away to every single person who asks is a guaranteed, one-way ticket to complete emotional and spiritual bankruptcy. Stop profusely apologizing for your inherent potential for violence and aggression. Instead, learn how to carefully integrate it into your character, so that your kindness transforms from a passive reaction into a deliberate, calculated, and powerful choice for everyone involved. When you are completely harmless, you are entirely at the brutal mercy of the world. But when you are incredibly dangerous, yet perfectly controlled, the world has no choice but to sit down and listen to your terms of peace. A formidable wolf that chooses not to bare its teeth is far more respectable than a trembling sheep that physically cannot bite. It is time to completely rewrite the societal definition of what makes a good man. A truly good man is a profoundly dangerous man who keeps his razor-sharp sword securely sheathed by the pure force of his own will. Waking up to this unforgiving reality is deeply painful, but it is absolutely necessary for your evolution. You must find your teeth and learn how to bare them before you can ever claim to be a guardian or a protector of the light in the darkness. The most dangerous and lethal person in any room is almost always the quietest one. They don't feel the sudden urge to bark or flex their ego, because they know exactly how deep their bite can go when provoked. Real, undeniable power is the chilling ability to sit calmly across from your worst enemy and gracefully choose to offer them a warm cup of tea instead of a cold blade, knowing with absolute certainty you could easily do both. When a truly powerful person looks at you and says, "It's okay," it feels like an act of royal grace and forgiveness. But when a weak, defenseless person says it, it only sounds like a desperate, pathetic plea for survival. The strategically dangerous person doesn't feel the neurotic need to prove anything to anyone. Their mere presence carries a heavy, undeniable gravitational weight that effortlessly commands respect without a single word being spoken aloud. Sincere kindness is a rare and precious gift, not a mandatory social obligation to be handed out to strangers. Those who intimately understand their own dark capacity for destruction are the only ones who can truly offer genuine, lasting peace to the world. Think of the great historical leaders who could have easily crushed their opposition into dust, but intelligently chose the path of diplomacy instead. That is the absolute pinnacle of human character, the highest manifestation of spiritual and mental strength. You must patiently temper your own spirit like a blacksmith tempers high-carbon steel. Be sharp enough to effortlessly cut through the thickest lies and manipulations, but strong enough to remain quietly in your sheath until the exact moment it is strictly necessary to draw. There is a quiet, unshakable dignity in the person who knows in their bones that they are the hurricane, yet consciously chooses to be the gentle, guiding light breeze that helps bring others safely back home. When you firmly hold the high ground and the superior position, your mercy actually means something profound. When you are lying, defeated in the dirt, your sudden plea for mercy just looks like a humiliating surrender to the inevitable. The truly dangerous man is an unwavering man of his word, because he intimately knows the devastating cost of breaking it. His personal integrity is not just a concept, it is heavily backed by his undeniable, lethal, personal power. Learn to be exactly like the ancient mountain. Let the bitter winds of societal chaos and drama howl relentlessly around you, but remain totally unmoved, because you know the staggering depth of your own roots and your own terrifying, immovable weight. The dangerous, self-actualized person moves through life with ruthless intention. Every single step is carefully calculated. Every spoken word is heavily weighed before it leaves their tongue. They absolutely refuse to waste their finite energy on foolish trivialities or empty, meaningless displays of dominance. Your kindness should always be a fiercely intentional flame, not a flickering, accidental spark born of circumstance. You must control your inner light with precision, so that it beautifully illuminates the path, rather than blindly burning those who stand around you. You must find and calibrate your own internal moral compass. Know deep down that you possess the skills to survive the dark forest entirely alone, and only then will your voluntary decision to step out of the shadows and join the tribe be truly meaningful. Enduring psychological tension is the pure essence of developing real strength. Holding that immense tension without snapping or breaking is the ultimate, grueling test of a man's character and his unyielding commitment to his core values. Periods of deep, intentional solitude will teach you the ultimate truth, that you are entirely enough. Once you know you can be dangerous and self-sufficient on your own, your kindness to others transforms into a beautiful, deliberate choice. When you constantly give without establishing firm, non-negotiable boundaries, you aren't actually helping anyone. You're simply enabling their dysfunction. You are tragically pouring your precious, unrecoverable time into a black hole that will never, ever be filled. If you adamantly refuse to protect your own internal light, the creeping shadows of other people's demands will eventually consume you whole. Slowly losing yourself in the endless service of those who blatantly disrespect you is a modern-day tragedy. You slowly become a transparent ghost in your own life, quietly haunting the vast graveyard of your unfulfilled potential. You must aggressively learn the staggering power of the word no. It is arguably the most sacred, heavily guarded word in the entire language of self-respect. Without the courage to use it, your yes has absolutely no inherent meaning or value at all. Your time is the one and only currency in this universe that you can never, ever earn back. Spending it on toxic people who constantly drain your battery is a literal theft you are actively committing against your own future. Sometimes, the truest form of being good means stepping back and letting people face the brutal consequences of their own reckless actions. Constantly rushing in to rescue them only delays their necessary growth and exponentially speeds up your own physical and mental exhaustion. Your heart is a priceless masterpiece of human emotion, not a cheap doormat for the public to use. Stop politely letting people wipe their dirty boots all over it, while they audaciously expect you to just keep smiling and taking the abuse. Choosing silence in the direct face of blatant disrespect is not keeping the peace. It is actively drinking a slow-acting poison. It silently eats away at the core of your dignity, day by day, until there is absolutely nothing left inside your shell. Save your life-giving water strictly for those who have planted seeds and are actually ready to grow. When you continuously shrink your own personality to make insecure people feel big and important, you aren't being kind. You are being a coward, a liar, and a willing accomplice to the massive inflation of their own unhealthy, fragile ego. You must guard and protect your internal light with the terrifying ferocity of a mythical dragon. It is the absolute only thing that makes you unique and irreplaceable, in a bland world that desperately wants everyone to blend into the gray. Fearlessly burning bridges with deeply toxic people is not a malicious act of hate. It is a fundamental act of self-preservation. You must accept that some cancerous connections are simply meant to be severed and broken forever. The exact moment you finally decide that your self-worth is absolutely non-negotiable is the exact moment you truly become a highly dangerous, unpredictable threat to the status quo. Calmly walking away from a bad deal or a bad relationship is the ultimate, undisputed power move. It clearly demonstrates to the universe that you value your own internal peace, far more than the fleeting approval of those who don't deserve you. Fierce loyalty is a profoundly noble virtue, but blind, unconditional loyalty is an absolute, unmitigated disaster. It is the fastest, most efficient way to completely lose your own identity inside the chaotic pages of someone else's broken story. True, tested strength is having the cold rationality to know exactly when to cut the safety cord. You cannot miraculously save a drowning, panicking person if they are frantically determined to pull you deeply under the freezing water with them. The most terrifyingly dangerous people in any environment are those who can pack up and walk away without uttering a single word of protest. Simply vanishing without a trace from a toxic, abusive dynamic is a perfectly valid form of justice. You owe absolutely no long-winded explanations to those who have consistently refused to hear, understand, or respect your truth. Being completely alone with your thoughts is infinitely better than being surrounded by bad, draining company. Developing the psychological endurance to be happily alone is the bedrock foundation of ultimate freedom. If you don't biologically or emotionally need them, they completely lose the leverage to control you, and that is exactly where your true, unstoppable power begins. Stand impossibly tall and unyielding in your own personal truth. The world will constantly try to violently pull you back down into the mud, but if your roots are locked into your own soul, you will remain forever unshakable. It is time to violently awaken the massive, sleeping giant that has been dormant within you for far too long. The entire world is waiting for you to stop cowering in the shadows and start walking the earth with the full, terrifying weight of your own unlocked potential. Refuse to just passively exist as a background character. Step up and truly live. Refuse to just blindly follow the herd over the cliff. Step up and unapologetically lead. Refuse to just be nice and compliant. Step up and strive to be profoundly, dangerously good. There is a massive, life-altering world of difference between those two states of being. This is your final, undeniable call to action from the universe. Take your rightful place in the world. Be the dangerous person who consciously chooses peace. Be the blinding light in the dark. Now, go out and be the change you desperately want to see. The era of being nice is permanently over. The time for being truly, dangerously good has begun.